Much to talk about, but here we go. As we go trackside to 5 red lights for the Austrian Grand Prix. Ferrari on pole position, Aston Martin alongside, lights out, and away we go. And everyone does get away pretty nicely. I don't think there was any massive changes, but we are going to see CGM making a move up to P2 already. Side by side is an Alpine and a Mercedes. The Alpine forces the Mercedes off track there, but I think the Alpine just about gets the job done. The Mercedes is going to try and fight it, but they are going to be under pressure by the Williams of Whiffle. Whiffle down the inside of the Mercedes. Can they get down the inside of the Alpine? Yes, they do. The Alpine has gone wide a little bit, but they do manage to get the traction needed and will get out in front of Whiffle. Jojo already trying to charge up another move on the Williams to go down into turn 4. Can the Mercedes find the room round the outside? Whiffle breaks latest, nearly collecting the Alpine, but he stays just behind, and the Mercedes isn't able to find any more room there. Will we see Ransdell try and make a move on the Alpine? As they made a bit of contact as Whiffle goes down the inside of the Alpine. Neb, I think, has had a slight spin there, but Neb comes out in front of our Whiffle, but our Whiffle makes the move on Ransdell, and now the Mercedes is going to try his luck, following the Mercedes through there. A little bit of contact between those two, and the Alpine is still there on the outside, and the Mercedes does finally get the move done into P5, or if someone else might be able to break that, as CGM moves to the inside and will try and get the move into turn 3. Will he get the move done before the braking point? It's Joe in the braking point, but the Red Bull does indeed get through. And look at Neb, he's trying the switchback on Casper there, down the inside. Can he try and make a move on the Red Bull as well, going into turn 4? As he pulls back into the slipstream, Casper has to back out in P3, has a slight snap of rear brake locking there. Will that allow Jojo to go down the inside of Whiffle, as Whiffle had to back out of that one? But I don't think he's going to be able to, and he will have to stay in P5. But I'm not too sure. As here we go, Neb going around the outside of the Red Bull, going into turn 3. Will we see Casper try and make a dive on the Red Bull as well? Yes, we will. Can he get that move stick, or will CGM get the better traction around the outside? CGM absolutely gets the traction. But look at Whiffle, he is eyeing up a move on the Ferrari. Will he pull to the inside? Casper covers it off very nicely. Can Whiffle find the space around the outside? No, he can't. Will he try and look for the switchback? And I don't think he will. And I think there's some contact here. Avi and Raven going side by side. Avi getting the move on the Ferrari there. As Raven, tries to dive it back down the inside, but Avi wonderfully covering that off. Is Neb looking close? Look at Jojo. He's trying to make a move on the Williams as well. Over the front though, Neb does indeed get the move down the inside. I think Casper's going to try and look for it as well, as they are side by side through turn 3. And as Casper was marginally ahead on the exit, can CGM get the better traction and get the better momentum to get back down the outside? It's going to have the slipstream from the Aston Martin, but Casper down the inside of the Aston Martin to retake the lead of the race. Still side by side between those two as we go through turn 5 and into turn 6. Neb does indeed get that move done, and Jojo did indeed get the move done on the Williams as well, as Casper makes a bit of repass into the lead of the race. Can Skiz get the move? And I think More Leader is going to try and follow him through as well. Sorry, that's Mafio actually. Neb drops down to P3. Whiffle gets past on Jojo, as Epic OJ has lost a few places there, as there's actually going to be 4 wide there momentarily. Here we go, Raven down the inside of 3 cars there, as they do go 3 wide. Jojo around the outside gets the move. Raven has to back out and will be behind Jojo, and Whiffle drops a place as well. Epic OJ going side by side with Whiffle there. Slight bit of its contact as our Whiffle comes out in front, as we see Craggy going down the inside of Avi there, as Craggy now gets up to P9, Avi down to P10, and he didn't actually complete the move. Brian Evans trying to go down the inside of the Mercedes though, side by side through turn 3, and look at Raven, he is just looking at this, getting a front row seat. But can he get any moves being made? Brian Evans now pulling to the inside once again into turn 4, going down the inside, and our Whiffle is making a move on Epic OJ as well, as Brian Evans completes the overtake. Epic OJ still side by side with the Williams, going into turn 6 now, and Epic OJ does indeed get past on the Williams there. And there we go, Raven now pulling to the inside. Can he get the move on the Red Bull? Side by side going into turn 3. Neb looking close to CGM as well. Neb going down the inside, so is Raven. Also down the inside of his own teammate as well. The 2 Ferraris getting pacey, as I think the Haas has dived down the inside of the Red Bull as well, as Casper is let through by Raven. Brian Evans, and there's a car around there. I think that's Ransdell, but Brian Evans trying to go around the outside of Raven there. Can he get the move stick? We can just about see that end plate of Raven, and it is in front, but Brian Evans still trying to fight one down the inside, and no, that's not course, that's Epic OJ still around the outside of the Red Bull. Into turn 7 we go now, still side by side, into turn 8, still wheel to wheel. How have they gone through there without any contact? And Brian Evans, I think, just about gets in front and will stay in P6. Did a bit of a slip there, I think I saw from Avi there, as he tries to eye up a move on Maffio, but on Whiffle, sorry, but I think Maffio might try and get the move around the outside of Avi, and that's a very, very bold place to make an overtake, but he's still going to try and fight this. And if he can get this move complete, it'll be an absolute crazy move there, and he does. Maffio up to P8, round the outside of Avi through turn 3. As Neb comes out behind the RB of White Josh there. As the RB tries to make a move on the Sauber as well, down the inside into turn 3. The Sauber still trying to hold it around the outside. But I think the RB has just gotten a much better exit, and Morleader will sit in behind. Now, will there be any moves down this straight? Casper pulling to the outside of CGM. Will Raven be able to follow him through? Raven also around the outside. Bit of teamwork here from both Ferraris. Round the outside, Raven still holds it. CGM still down the inside. Can CGM get the power down? But I think Raven is just about able to get in front, as it's going to be a drag race down into turn 1. And look at that, the two Ferraris really trying to box in that Red Bull, and they are doing that absolutely beautifully. But has a door been opened from the Red Bull? No, the two Ferraris still working together. Brian is still around the outside of Raven. Raven's going to push him as far as he can onto the outside of turn 6 into turn 7, and Raven just about gets his car in front and will keep that Red Bull behind. Some lovely teamwork there from the two Ferraris. Epic OJ is trying to make a move on Avi down the inside into turn 9, and I'll tell you what, that was a beautiful move from the Haas driver there. Let's look back up the front. This Epic OJ is looking quite close to CGM. CGM, can he try and make any moves on the Ferraris? And I don't think he is. Epic OJ down the inside of the Red Bull, and they are going to be quite equal on traction, but it's going to be a drag race down into turn 4. Who is going to get the best, or who is going to be through? And I think it will be Epic OJ. CGM still trying to hold it around the outside. Quartz gets a 3-second penalty. Around the outside, CGM is, but I think Epic OJ just about gets in front into P4, and we will see as we switch to him. As Morleader is trying to make a move on Neb Restream, or Neb Restream there making a move on Morleader there. Nicely done. Maffio comes out in P15, but it is on the medium tyres. Move at the front, Avi trying to go down the inside of CGM there. White Josh as well under pressured by, or Brian Evans under pressured by White Josh. CGM is still going to try and hold it around the outside of Avi, but I think Avi just about gets in front. White Josh still on the inside of Brian Evans, and I think he has just about got that move done. White Josh up to P6. Yellow flags, that is Quartz, as we see the both Ferraris switching there. Good place to do so. Always there's a dive there, I think, from one of the Aston Martins, and I think White Josh and Brian Evans were affected by that. As Neb does indeed get the move done on White Josh's Morleader is trying to go around the outside of that RB. I think Tharlow's down the inside as well. Yes, he is. Tharlow getting a 3-second penalty, though. Still down the inside into turn 5, but into turn 6. He's still going to try and fight this around the outside of the Sauber. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty neat move there. As Tharlow gets a full car length in front before he, before Morleader tucks back behind. Epic OJ, though, has the DRS off the drivers in front, and I think the two Ferraris will try and create a wall here. And you can see there, side by side into turn 3 by both Ferraris. And Epic OJ finding no place to get around the outside, but look at Avi, he's going to try to go around the outside of the Haas. The Haas still trying to fight this, as the Haas tries to go around the outside of Raven. As the two Ferraris once again trying to block in the Haas. The Haas touching the back of Raven there slightly. But the two Ferraris doing pretty much a parade lap around this track. Just trying to box in Epic OJ there, and they do so beautifully. Neb, though, is going down the inside of Brian Evans into turn 1. That's a very ambitious dive bomb to make a move, but I'll tell you what, he just about got the move, but then has to back out. So I think Whiffle went off track there. Tharno still trying to go around the outside as the two Ferraris in front, once again creating that wall. And going around the outside is Thardo on Neb. Thardo having a slight overtake burn there to just about get in front of Neb. White Josh also making the move on Whiffle. And can White Josh try and make a dive bomb on Neb there into turn 4, sorry. And you can see Neb got a bit of a snap on the rear end. Whiffle trying to make his move as well. Round the outside, we'll have the inside for turn 6. Oh, is this contact? And White Josh has been spun there by Whiffle. Raven goes to the outside. Casper on the inside. Epic OJ down the inside of both of them, but then has to back out. Raven has gone a bit wide. Can Epic OJ find the door down the inside? As he is going to go down the inside. Why are we getting this camera angle? We're going to ride on board with Avi. 3 wide into turn 4. Epic OJ still on the inside. The 2 Ferraris on the outside. Casper has to eventually concede as Epic OJ trying to make a move on Raven. Is through on Casper. Raven in front. Raven needs to try and back him up into Casper, as I think Epic OJ has sort of effected his exit there, and that will give Casper the opportunity. Will Casper trying to go down the inside? Epic OJ moving to the inside though. Avi going down the inside of Casper as well. Can Avi get into P3? Still a drag race on the exit, but I think Casper has just about gotten the better exit there. And will stay in P3, but I think he might try to go down around the outside of Epic OJ as well. Round the outside tries is Casper. Epic OJ still on the inside. Skiz getting a 3-second penalty there. Casper gets back into P2. And the 2 Ferraris can work together once again. Brian Evans, Tharlo and Craigie having some battling there as Mafio somehow appears in front of the Aston Martin there. I think there's going to be a move here from Tharlo down the inside. Oh, look at Mafio. Mafio is trying to go down the outside of 2 drivers there. Gets forced off the track. And Mafio will stay in P8, but Tharlo and Brian Evans still going side by side into turn 4 maybe. As Craigie tries to dive down the inside of both of them, not able to. Mafio still on the outside of Tharlo. Tharlo gives a little bit of a tap there to Mafio. Tharlo still on the outside of turn 6. Nearly going off the track. And Mafio still down the inside going into turn 7 and into turn 8. Still side by side into turn 9. Who is going to back out? Will anyone back out? I think Mafio is going to be the one to back out when he does eventually concede the position there. But still not making the overtake. Mafio. Oh, I think someone's been spun around. That's Tharlo in the RB. I just saw that. As I think he made a bit of contact with Mafio, I think. That is not what Tharlo needs. As the 2 Ferraris will try and potentially make a switch again to try and block off Epic OJ. Epic OJ still around the outside of Raven. Avi is just waiting in on this, getting a front row seat in this fight as well. Epic OJ has still not cleared. As Raven goes up the inside of Casper, creating that wall once again. Around the outside, Epic OJ is going to try it into turn 4. And Raven doing some absolutely amazing defensive driving once again, working with Casper, and will keep that Haas behind them. Once again, the 2 Ferraris there trying to create a wall there that Epic OJ can't exploit. And he will stay behind as Craigie makes a move on Brian Evans. Mafio as well trying to get in on this as well. Still side by side between Brian Evans and Craigie, who will be latest on the brakes, who will be braver into turn 3. And I think Craigie brake latest, but Brian Evans tries to maximise the trail braking. And into turn 6. It's still going to be wheel to wheel. The Red Bull still down the inside as there is a dive there from Whiffle as well on Skiz. Brian Evans gets marginally in front going into turn 7 and into turn 8. Look at Mafio. He's going to try and make a move on the Aston Martin as well, as the Aston Martin was forced to go deep. And Mafio gets up to P7. Skiz and Whiffle once again going side by side. As look at Jojo, he's going to try to go on the outside of the Williams, and also Skiz getting a bit of rear brake locking, and that allows Whiffle to go back down the inside of the Mercedes to get back into P11. But Jojo just about stays in front going into turn 6, and he will stay in his 11th spot there. What will be made is we are going to see Craigie try to go around the outside of Brian Evans into turn 3. As Epic OJ is going to earn on the inside of all 2 of them. Look at Avi as well. Avi down the inside of the Haas as well. Can Avi get into the lead? As Epic OJ into the wall. Raven gets back into P2. CGM on the inside. Casper into P5. As Raven still retains in P2. Down the inside is Mafio on CGM. As I think Brian Evans is down the inside of Skiz as well. Side by side between CGM and Mafio. CGM gets in front, but Casper down to P5 now. As Avi has taken the lead of the race from absolutely nowhere. Raven, though, is going to try and chase him down. This is what we want, a battle for the lead. Owner versus head admin. As we go on to the final lap, Mafio still down the inside of CGM, gets into P3, into turn 9. Casper, what can he do from P5, though? Craggy in P6. Skiz is going to try to go down the inside of all three of them into turn 1, but not able to as he will stay behind. He's still going to try and fight one down the inside of the Aston Martin. Neb, though, going down the inside of Brian Evans, and will get into P8. Onto the final lap we go now. What will happen in this front fight? Raven going around the outside and will get back into the lead. Maffio and CGM going side by side. Look at that dive from Jojo in the Mercedes down the inside, and it's going to be 3 wide in the back there. Jojo was worse off of that one, as I think Craggy backs out. Skiz is in P6 as well now, as Neb is in P9 under pressure by Jojo. Casper gets into P4 there down the inside. Avi and Raven still going side by side. Avi down the inside going through turn 5 into turn 6. Is it going to be Raven or is it going to be Avi? It is going to be Raven, as Casper is going to try a last minute overtake to try and get the overtake on Maffio. Into turn 7 we go now, into turn 8. Avi, can he try any last minute overtakes? Can Maffio do anything as we go down into turn 7, side by side between Maffio and Avi? Maffio just give out, gets in front. Casper into P3, still down the inside of the McLaren, as Raven comes across the line to win the Austrian Grand Prix. Maffio takes P2 and Casper just about gets P3 there with the last step on the podium. Avi will then finish in P4, which he's going to be slightly disappointed about, but still decent points for himself. CGM finishes in P5 with Brian Evans in P6. Epic OJ will finish in P5 after being spun on that straight just a few laps ago, with Craggy in P8. Skiz will then finish in P9 with Neb Restroom in P10. White Josh will then finish in P11 with More Leader in P12. Jojo has to settle for P13 with Whiffle finishing in P14, Ransdell in P15 and Tharlo in P16, and surprisingly the only DNF in that race was Quartz, as he will finish in P17, out the points from starting P15 with no points heading to him. But what a race.